The first thing I'm going to go over with you guys is the PowerPoint that you probably already noticed on Edsby. Can you see that PDF?
Yeah.
Okay. So you should have already received an email or an Edsby message with 3 numbers in the Edsby message. That is your income, your OSAP loan, and your credit card debt. Those are Ontario averages. So I have an Excel spreadsheet that, actually I can show you guys, that has those numbers in it. And all I did is I had it randomize the numbers, and it gave an average plus or minus a couple $100s. So I don't know if you guys can see both sides of that, but basically over here on the right hand side, the first year university average income is about $50,000 with $26,000 in student debt, OSAP loan, and $5,000 average credit card debt. So then it randomized that plus or minus a couple $100, and you were lucky enough to get some of those numbers. Some of you have a high income and low debt. That's great, but some of you guys have a lower income and a higher debt. So you're gonna have to be very creative with how you manage your money. So here's the introduction. You've just graduated. You're starting an entry-level job, some working as service industry. Basically, you're just getting some kind of income. You have a OSAP loan and a credit card debt, and you're gonna be using what you've learned already and your own research to create a monthly budget. You're only supporting yourself, so you don't have to worry about any kind of dependence. You will have to do some research to see what percentage of your budget should be accounted for housing or groceries or utilities. Your project details will include 13 different things, and I want you to do these in order. So the first thing you're gonna do is decide where you think you want to live. It has to be somewhere where there actually is a job opportunity. So don't pick the middle of nowhere because housing is cheap and then realize I can't do my job from this location. So pick somewhere reasonable, but think about cost of living as part of that decision. So pick a city and a province that you want to live in. After you've done that, you're going to take the income that I've given you and you're going to go to this website, and it will tell you what your take home is after taxes. So I'm going to go to that website. This one. Yeah. Okay. So here's the website link. You're just going to put in your amount that you were given. And actually I have a fake one here that I'm going to plug the numbers in quickly. I did a fake one with 51,467. 51,467. I chose to live in Ontario for my fake demonstration, so I picked Ontario. But if you choose to live anywhere else in Canada, pick that, because different provinces have different tax amounts. It will give you this lovely taste of reality of how much the government's going to take from you. So I started with 51,467, and by the end of the tax deductions here that are taken off, I'm going to walk away with 39,931, 11,500 less than I started with. Click this monthly tab though, because you're doing a monthly budget. So this is telling me I have to work within $3,328 for the month because I chose Ontario. Okay. Then once you have that amount, you can continue the rest of the project. So now that I know how much I'm going to take home, I'm going to find some place to live in the city and province I've chosen. So go on MLS listing, or I don't care if you use Kijiji or whatever you choose to use, find somewhere to live. You cannot live with your parents. You can have a roommate. So if somebody in the class wants to share an apartment with you, that's great, split the rent. But I would recommend you maybe not choose just renting a room in a house. Sometimes that can be quite the dive. So pick somewhere you would actually possibly want to live, but is affordable, okay? Once you've chosen that, I would recommend you screenshot that information. I'll show you what you'll do with that in a minute. And then once you picked where you're gonna live, you should be able to find your utilities and your monthly other expenses. Electricity, water, do you have to pay for heating, house, internet, cable? Sometimes your apartment will be all inclusive. So some of these things will be included in your rent. Otherwise, your rent will tell you what you have to pay on your own. And it's a pretty easy Google search to figure out average utility expenses for Toronto or for Burlington. So just research that. Then you're gonna have to decide how you're gonna get around. If you are going to have a car, you need to look up insurance, gas and maintenance fees for your car, like monthly oil changes or whatever the case may be. If you're gonna do public transit, just look up what's the normal public transit pass for your area. Then you're gonna look up your OSAP loans. This is what JD was asking me. You click on this website link and it will take you to your OSAP loan repayment calculator. So on the example numbers I was gonna use, I had 26,931 in debt. And it says here, the average that it takes people to pay off their student loan is 9.5 years. So imagine you're almost a decade beyond university and you're finally paying off your OSAP loan. So JD, that's the question. I'm gonna put in 114 months. It does, sorry, I got a message, my internet. Can you guys thumbs up if you can still hear me? Awesome. You cannot, don't change the interest rate, leave it the average 6% because that's normally what people are paying for OSAP loan. I'm gonna plug in the 114, the average monthly amount it takes for somebody to pay off their OSAP loan. And if it takes me 9.5 years to pay off my OSAP loan, I have to pay $350 a month to get rid of it in 9.5 years. Well, maybe I don't like the idea of that hanging over my head for 9.5 years. Maybe by 9 years past university, I actually like want a family or something. You can decrease this number. So I'm just gonna make it 90 months. If I decrease the number of months, it increases my monthly payment. I've had students say, I want to finish my OSAP loan by a year past university. Look what I'd have to pay per month to get rid of that in 1 year. Not sustainable. I only have $3,300 coming in for me to live off of, and I have to still find an apartment and buy food. So please make it reasonable. You'll quickly realize if it is reasonable or not based on the budget that you're working with. Then after OSAP loan, research how to get rid of your credit card debt. I don't care if it's Scotiabank, TD, RBC, whatever. Ask your parents, what do they use? Go on their website, look at an average credit card. This is where the information from this chapter comes into play. Is this simple or compound interest? Okay, how much, like what's the compounding period? Does the interest get compounded monthly or quarterly or daily on my credit card? Put that in this part of your budget. And then you're also gonna decide what debt do you get rid of first. Your OSAP loan is 6%. If your credit card interest rate is 11.25, get rid of the credit card first. If your interest rate on your credit card is like 2.5%, then do the OSAP loan first and make some wise decisions with this theoretical money. Groceries are next. I would recommend you ask your parents how much they pay a week for groceries. Then take the number of people in your household, divide it by that number, and that is a safe assumption that you can still continue eating the way you currently eat. If you're like, I'm gonna do ramen noodles 3 times a week, that's fine, but I think you'll get tired of it and it would maybe leave you now malnutrition. So make some wise choices again with your groceries. I'm gonna encourage you to also decide where you're gonna donate. So Sick Kids or Salvation Army or Red Cross, or maybe it's your church, but decide how much you wanna give a month to some kind of charitable donations. Medical and toiletries. This is like Tylenol, Advil, hair gel, shampoo, toilet paper, soap, all those things. Try to research some basic amounts for toiletries. I'm going to encourage you to have some money in savings. Maybe you want to get married someday and you have to pay for your wedding or a house or a car or a vacation. Have a savings category. Someday you'll be allowed to go out of the house and socialize again. So let's plan for that. Movies, dinner, whatever. Have a one time a month. I have right here, one time a month, go out with family or friends. Daydream a little bit right now since we can't do that. And then anything extra is going to go in surplus, but there is a basic thought in finance that if you do not allocate your money somewhere, it will just disappear. You'll just spend it. So decide what that's going toward. Is it an emergency fund for times like these? Is it going like some kind of savings for something way down the line, like maybe a 10-year vacation or holiday or something? But anyways, decide where all of your pennies are going to go. There are 2 components to this project. The first one is your actual budget, this Google Doc, and the second one is a Word document. So I'm going to show both of those to you guys. The first one is the Google Doc. And I'm going to put all these links on Edsby so you can find them pretty quickly. This Google Doc is just structured so you can just start typing in your money. So once you know your income, I think mine was like 3,000, I don't know, 383 or something like that. That your income goes here, and then you're going to go ahead and just start playing around with food, rent, transportation, so on and so forth. It does tell you to save this worksheet, the spreadsheet, so make a copy, and then you can start editing it and saving it so nothing is lost. So do that first, please. This is your monthly budget. And then the second component that your project involves, go back to here, it says is some kind of a document. I don't care if it's PowerPoint, Word, Google document, whatever. Some kind of a document where you're going to share with me all the information that you have researched and found. So this is just a basic example of numbers that I just picked. I just copied some numbers from my generator, and then this is what I'm looking for. So number 1, city and province. This is obviously not me, but I just did an example. I choose to live near Toronto, Ontario, as this is a location that has many business opportunities for my future career choice of a graphic designer, website graphic designer. Because the cost of living is high, insert researched amount, whatever it says on Google, cost of living in Toronto, I will live outside of the city limits. Maybe it's Markham, maybe it's Etobicoke, whatever, pick place. And I will use public transit to go to work. And I'm going to describe why I chose that location, blah, 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 blah. Then number 2, I literally took a screenshot of that website where my income after taxes was calculated for me. Okay, so put that in there and just keep going. Number 3, this is your where you're going to live for number 3. Please screenshot me a picture of your apartment. This is the one I found. This is what I think is great. Just put in a screenshot and then type me the information. You can even copy most of the information from the website. What's included, what's it look like? Is it 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom? You know, what's it look like? All those kind of details. So you'll have like an actual text document and then that spreadsheet as well, both submitted to me via Edsby. There is a rubric at the end of your PDF that I really want you guys to make sure you're using right here to make sure you can all get a level 4. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and see what questions you guys have. Any questions? JD?
For number 5, for the transportation.
Yep.
What if the work provides you with the car?
Then you can put that in there. Yep.
All right.
Yep.
And we can pick where we want to work?
Yeah, and you can pick, like, don't pick a career that you think is really not, like, I'm not obviously gonna all of a sudden become a graphic website designer. So don't pick something that's really way outside of possibility. Pick something you are interested in. It's obviously hypothetical, theoretical, but maybe play around with it, make it like it's your possible future.
All right.
Because it'll be more practical that way.
All right.
Yeah. But you do have to use the numbers I gave you. So if you pick, like, I'm going to become a neurosurgeon, and I know that I'm going to get over 100,000 a year. That is way not the normal for most Ontario people. So just go with the numbers that I gave you. Okay. Other questions?
What if it's like something like a lawyer?
Okay, Aaron, can you go first?
What if it's something like lawyer, for example?
So for this one, you could decide you want to be a lawyer and decide what city you want to practice in, but you have to use the numbers that I gave you.
Okay.
Okay. Jake, what's your question?
So it has to be in Canada? You can't like live in the US or anything?
I don't have websites for the US. So Jake, I would say to make your life easier, I would use Ontario, or not Ontario, Canada.
Okay.
Yeah, if you can find those websites easily, feel free to spread your wings and fly a bit. But if you want to make this easy, I would just go with the websites that I provided.
All right.
You gave us our income, so we should find a job that follows that kind of income, right?
No, you don't necessarily have to, Daniel. I want you guys to go with what is the average for someone in Ontario. Some of you guys may be lucky enough you don't have to pay for education. Maybe some of you guys have, parents are paying for it, you've got some kind of a fund for that, but that's not everyone's experience. So Daniel had to go with something that's kind of average. So pick a career that you're interested in, but just work with the numbers that I gave you.
Right.
And I wouldn't even spend a whole lot of time with the career research necessarily. I have students who research where's the cheapest place to live. And I'm not kidding, it's literally in the middle of nowhere in Quebec. but they're like, what are you going to do there? You can't necessarily work from home. You maybe have to live off grid even. So I'm just saying, like, try to work in the realms of what's workable with the numbers that I've given you. Patrick, did you have a question?
What's the website we go to find a house?
Okay, so for the apartments, there's actually a couple of different ones. Like you could do an MLS, like MLS is multiple listing service. MLS Canada would have some. Sometimes apartments are on Kijiji. There's so many. So once you decide where you want to live, Patrick, just type in like apartments in Etobicoke, Ontario, and see what comes up and just follow some of those links. I've had students find things that are really sketchy. You guys don't go with that, please. Even if it's like, oh, that's only $250 a month. There's a reason it's $250 a month, okay? It's, yeah, in the basement of a creeper. Don't pick those. JD.
Did you buy an RV?
Fair question. Very fair question.
I
You can
guess,
park it at Walmart. It's legal. You can park it at Walmart and live at Walmart.
is that what you want to do, JD?
No, no, no.
Oh, then I would say don't do that if it's not something, because the idea of this project is it is a real life application. Like, talk to your parents. Finances is a big thing as an adult. So if you're not going to live in an RV, then I'd say it's less practical. But if you really were thinking about it, I would say go for it. But
And
most
all
people,
sorry, finish.
I was going to say, if you have an RV, you might even need to find some land you're going to park it on. So then it gets tricky.
I was just gonna ask, so basically like the website should just calculate everything for us.
Yeah, there is very little calculations that you guys have to do using your formulas. The information that you've done goes into part 6, I think, where it talks about debt. That's where you're gonna talk about part 7. That's where you're gonna talk about simple versus compound interest and start making choices on how to pay it off sooner. So there's very little calculations, it's mainly research-based.
And then for surplus, like our extra money, could it just be like, oh, like extra money for a yacht or something like that for another car? All right.
Yeah. You might be surprised how little money you have unless you make your OSAP loan like 25 years. So try not to do crazy things like that. Like, you don't want debt hanging over your head for decades at a time. Like, that just starts to feel like, it feels like a burden on your shoulders. I'm speaking from experience. If you want to get rid of debt as fast as you can. So JD, kind of play around with numbers, but make it reasonable.
Alright.
Okay.
And that money, so like the money that we get from our income, that's how much money we were gonna have to live off each month, right? So like like for you, like 3,000 a month. That. All right.
Yeah. You're just doing 1 month. Okay, guys. But keep in mind, like, if you ask your parents what's the grocery bill for a week, and to make it easy, let's say it's $300 a week. There's 3 people in your family. So you're like, okay, I eat $100 worth of food. Remember to multiply that by 4 weeks in a month, right? So you need 400-ish for groceries for the month.
Are we working up to get a job in this thing?
No, you're just going to assume you have a job, and I'm telling you your income, Patrick. So go with those 3 numbers that I had to be messaged you today.
Okay.
Side jobs allowed? Are you allowed to get like another job?
It shows up in the budget, Jacob. So if you have a skill that could bring you extra income, like I could tutor students, that's a possibility. Then Jacob, you could work that in there, but it has to be reasonable. You have to think about, you're probably working 40 hours a week at your other job. So then what would you want your side job to look like? How much of your life is it going to own you? So you can put that in extra income. Just make sure it is actually practical.
All right.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, so oh, sorry, Patrick, go ahead.
Is the goal for this to just like not go broke or to make money?
No, it's to balance a budget. So make sure the money that's coming in and the money that's going out are balanced so that you're not going into debt.
Oh, okay.
I would say try to save a little bit. Like, you don't want your budget to be equal to 0 every month, because then if you have something like this, like coronavirus, and all of a sudden your income is affected, you have a little bit of savings. So save a little bit if you can, but if you can get it to equal 0, you're at a good place.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right, I have recorded all of this. So actually, I'm going to stop that recording right now.